Welcome back to Wild Child Records. I'm Jay Stoyan. On the show today, we'd like to welcome Bruce Gocklin. Now, Bruce is a musician who was on the Legacy Tour. He's been in the business for over 50 years. He's going to tell us all about his wonderful career. Bruce, thanks for being on the show today.
Well, nice to see you, Jay.
That's great. I love your backdrop. I love the guitars. Tell us about the guitars in the backdrop. What do you have behind you there?
Well, that's a Takamine Classical that I bought new back in 1984.
Wow. How many guitars you have, Bruce?
Oh, probably a half dozen in all.
Yeah, that's great. I know. You become addicted to buying guitars. I know guitar players are
No,
just
no,
crazy.
I'm down to at this point. I'm down to a half dozen that I'm very comfortable with, and that
Nice.
have served me well over the years. So,
Nice. So,
no
again, on the
need.
show today, we have Bruce Gocklin. Now, Bruce is a musician. He was on the Legacy Tour, which we're going to get into, and he's attached to a great musician platform called Big Records. So let's get right into how you met Big Records and Mark Rosner, and then we'll lead right into the tour, Bruce.
Yeah, well, Mark and I have known each other for probably about half a dozen years, and we're local to each other. We probably live about 10-minute drive from each other.
Yeah, because you're out in
And
BC, right? Out in BC, right?
out in
Yeah.
BC, I'm in Maple Ridge, and I'd be out playing gigs here and there, and he'd show up with his lovely wife, and he'd tell me about these dreams he had. It's like, okay, well, that's pretty, that's interesting. Keep me in touch, and that he did, and one of the first uh, one of the first Rise Up tours
Yeah.
that he put together. Um, he couldn't get Jimmy across the border or the bus. So I get a call. This is my I get a call at like 10 o'clock at night. Can you drive a 15 passenger van with a trailer to Edmonton? When? Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Um, yeah, I suppose. And so that was my introduction to Rise Up.
That's
Uh,
showbiz for you, right? That's showbiz for you.
yeah, well, his vision is capturing musicians under duress.
And how long ago was that, Bruce?
That was 4 years ago. We did
4 years
the
ago.
Western Canadian trip. We met a lot of wonderful people on that trip, and yeah, that was interesting. Sort of sat on it for about 2 years, and then I get another call. Will, would you like to do the Vancouver Island tour? And
Nice.
that's just being released.
Oh,
So
okay. And
yeah,
when was that one now?
that was two. It's been about a year and a half,
A
2
year and a
years.
half. That's great.
Yeah, no, it was lovely. That's where I got to meet Tim Steinrich.
Okay. Yeah, we had Tim on the show a couple weeks ago. Really nice guy.
Super nice guy, and Sarah Smith. I met them both on that very same tour. Of course, we were both on the recent Legacy
Now I
and
know Tim.
Motion tour.
Now I know Tim's a BC guy too, right?
Yeah,
Is Sarah
he's
also a BC lady or no?
she is now.
She is now. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
formerly an Ontarian.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but now she lives on a beautiful island, Pender Island.
Really? So you've known Sarah and Tim for a few years now, along with
But
Mark. That's great.
a couple years with Tim and Sarah, and of course, Tim and I have sort of grown up or come up through the same music community, so we've
Yeah.
known of each other, and it wasn't
Okay.
until I just knew him as that rock and roll beardy guy,
Yeah, I know.
right?
I love his beard. I love his beard. We talked about that when he was. I said, "Oh my god, how long did that take? Like that's a lot of work." So
Yeah.
let's fast forward now. So take us into the opening of the Legacy tour now.
Well,
How that come together?
that kind of came together through my fiddle player of many years, Nolan Murray,
Okay.
and we've been working together for 20 some odd years. And he was very well connected in Nashville. We signed a management contract 13 years ago in Nashville, and we're touring around the South and getting all this traction, so to speak. And it was 10 years ago, just as we were getting the interest that it had all been building up to. The industry went into a complete turmoil over
Yeah.
the new streaming. How are we going to make a living at this? and record labels weren't going to make any fast moves. They didn't know what the future looked like. So it basically just put a kibosh on that. So for a decade, I hadn't been back to Nashville.
Okay.
But I was invited on this tour and invited Nolan along because, and he just took over. He took over, he booked the gigs, he became music director, he lined up all the stuff, just worked his fanny off.
Let's talk a little bit about Nashville, because as a horrible musician myself, all you hear is Nashville, Nashville. It's such a music lore, the tradition, the culture, the history. Give us like a bird's eye view for people who have never been to Nashville but are musicians and would I would love to go one day. And I just like, give us a vibe. What's it like there?
Well, it's an ever-changing face as well, and I think I got 10 years ago, up to 13 years ago, I got to taste some of that tradition. But since then, so many of the traditional places have shut down, and it's overtaken by the sort of
Corporate.
sprawl city.
Yeah.
Corporate. It's a big publishing town.
Is
So
there
next to
still
music,
like is there still like rows and rows where you can play, or they're dwindling?
I hadn't really got a chance to do much digging around this last trip,
Yeah.
but from those people I know and have spent years there, yeah, sadly enough, a lot of those venues are just gone the way of the dodo through the whole COVID experience.
Yeah, COVID and streaming, and then why I always ask musicians, like experienced musicians like yourself, it's just like it's such a shame that musicians started giving their music away for free.
But
It's such a shame.
we didn't
Or
actually do that.
well, the
We
Napster
used it.
thing, right? The
Yeah,
Napster thing,
exactly,
right?
exactly. We got robbed.
Yeah, like it just changed the industry completely.
I started recording in the mid 80s.
Yep.
And back then, 45, two sides, two songs was a buck and a half, $2. So you're paying 75 cents to a dollar per tune, and everyone was happy. There
Yeah.
was a it we could do that, and somewhere along, 10 years ago, they just went, no, no, each copy we're going to give you a fraction of a penny.
It's terrible. Like it's how do you make a living? Like it's just it's ridiculous, because
Well,
music is so important to the soul.
and
Like
and for me, I've been doing this for, I've been a recording artist for 40 years. So when I look at that, it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating because for many years, the regular there was a rhythm to life.
yep.
You invest 20, 30,000 into an album. You have it all packaged up. You get your boxes, and then you take it out to your shows, and you'd sell.
That's right.
And after a couple 3 years, you'd sold 2 or 3 thousand, and you had your money back to make the next project. And while you've been touring around and doing that, you've been putting together new ideas. You go into the studio again and spend another 20 or 30,000. In beautiful
Yep.
studios with Neve consoles and producers who knew what they were doing, and musicians playing every note.
Yes.
See,
Yes.
nowadays you can get an app on your phone.
Yep.
You wanna write the next hip hop hit? You don't need any of that. You just pull it up on your phone, and it's a good thing because you can sell a gazillion copies, and you're not going to make the price of that app back.
Yeah. This is great. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break, and then we come back? We're going to talk about the actual tour and your role and some memories and some moments of the tour. So stay tuned. You're watching Wild Child Records. We have on today Bruce Coughlin. He tells all about his wonderful legacy tour, his connection to big records, and his own career. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.